Hello and welcome back to another episode of Generation Films. My name is American Ben. Today we continue our series looking at the various allies of humanity throughout the ages. Next up are dragons, the beasts that dominate the skies, raining down fire on the masses like the brilliant phallic symbols they are. Having said that, now might not be the best time to mention this, but dragons are actually my favorite real animal. I love dragons. Their power, grace, and beauty have always left me agape in awe of their magnificence. And today we are going to look at some of the most famous dragons of all time and consider their place on the list of humanity's best allies. Remember, if you liked the video, to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. We'll start with How to Train Your Dragon. The first dragon we have to discuss is Toothless, a night fury. Toothless was an intelligent dragon with a good sense of humor, which already gives dragons a leg up on dwarves. Toothless was an incredibly combat-capable fire-breathing dragon with speed, strength, enhanced senses, stealth capabilities, echolocation, and he could even channel lightning to cloak himself. Most importantly of all, Toothless was incredibly loyal to his human master Hiccup. Toothless risked his own life for Hiccup without hesitation and also protected Hiccup's other friends as well, and in general any human in need of help. Toothless's intelligence made it so he and his rider could work together seamlessly to defeat foes. Toothless was also an incredibly fast dragon, and there are few dragons in existence in real life that could ever hope to even fly half as fast as a Night Fury could. The worst that could even really be said about Toothless is that he got a bit of an attitude at times, but you would too if people kept trying to ride you. Draco from Dragonheart is another important dragon to have on this list, because he is probably the wisest dragon to have ever existed. Draco was a dragon in medieval England, where dragons were hunted. Draco actually once sacrificed half of his own heart in an attempt to help the people of England prosper, an attempt that fell through when the human he gave his heart to went back on his word. And even after he was wrongly hunted down by a knight named Bowen, he was still able to move past such experiences to join in partnership with this human knight to save England. Okay, at first they defrauded poor villages and took their money, but hey, teamwork with humanity. And eventually Draco did help to take out the tyrannical king and save the kingdom and gave his life in the process. There is no higher calling or greater achievement than for a non-human to give his life for humanity. On the other hand, Reign of Fire dragons don't give a good name to the human-dragon alliance. In the Reign of Fire world, dragons were giant flying killer reptiles. They were highly evolved and thus very intelligent, but still dumb enough to attack humans. They were capable of shooting napalm breath blasts and fireballs, and they used such powers to incinerate and terrorize humans, not necessarily in that order. Some dragons in Reign of Fire were also known to fight off human-attacking dragons. But still, dragons were largely a negative force in that world and cannot be called an ally of humankind. SMAUG is the famous fire drake from Middle-earth, another dragon that was not friendly to humanity, and not only that, he was personally responsible for dwarf poverty in the Lake Town area, having robbed them of the gold they amassed over the years. To be fair, SMAUG did do a lot of sleeping rather than wreaking havoc, but when he awoke, he would often raise entire cities. When a company of dwarves entered his mountain, he obliterated Lake Town. SMAUG was also a sentient dragon, meaning his decisions to murder humanoids of all sorts were conscious decisions. Throughout Middle-earth history, dragons have done little good for humans. In the inheritance cycle, some of humanity's greatest heroes were dragons. Dragons were an ancient race native to Alagasia. They were free birds that kept to themselves for the most part, but were also partnered with various types of dragon riders in history, mostly elves, but also humans. In these cases, dragons were lifelong companions of their riders. Dragons were no feral beasts either. They were fully sentient and sage. Perhaps the most famous is SAPHIRA, the only female dragon to exist in her time, though she was still paid less than her male counterparts for the same work. But this had more to do with the choices she made than anything else really. Sorry SAPHIRA, shouldn't have studied Drake fire therapy when the physics of flying was an option. But anyway, SAPHIRA was bonded to the dragon rider Eragon, one of her world's greatest heroes. And without her help, Eragon would not have become the man-elf he did. She guided and motivated him when he needed wisdom. SAPHIRA was also ferocious in battle, excited by the prospect of a fight, and willing to go wing to wing with anyone, especially for Eragon. She was always willing to give her life to protect him, even if she didn't agree with his causes at times. For this, SAPHIRA's dedication to the good of humanity is without question. The only thing that can really be said negative about her is that she was a bit vain, thinking herself the most beautiful creature in the world, a mindset that sometimes caused her to attack male dragons that refused to sleep with her. Mushu from Mulan was a bit of a mixed bag. A guardian spirit of the Fa family in China, he had been demoted to menial tasks due to his failure to protect a member of the family, a soldier who ended up being decapitated. Though in Mushu's defense, that was the only part of his body he lost. So Mushu was a bit incompetent, but he was fiercely loyal to Mulan, the Fa woman warrior he came to protect after he accidentally destroyed the guardian who was supposed to protect her. And ultimately he helped her to save all of China from the Huns. So he is a great hero of humanity and the Communist Party of China. However, despite being good-hearted, most of the time he was a bit of a coward and was selfish as well. He only tried to help Mulan at first in order to restore his own image, and he constantly looked out for number one. Like I said, he eventually dragoned up and helped Mulan defeat the Huns for the sake of doing the right thing, but this was not the gist of who he was. It's hard to blame him though, he wasn't a very powerful dragon, even failing to breathe fire in an effective way. He was also tiny and couldn't really fly. He was, however, fairly stealthy and quick and could zip out of danger in a split second. That said, this didn't really offer Mulan much benefit, aside from a few times he was able to spy for her and use his cunning to trick others. That said, without his much smarter cricket friend, he probably would have never gotten away with much of his trickery. FALKOR is kind of a flying dog, so his companionship with humans is probably derived from his unfair dog instincts. Nonetheless, he said he's a dragon, so we'll go with it. FALKOR was of course one of the main characters in the Never-Ending Story, a movie that somehow created more scars in me as a child than being dropped on my head 50 times did. FALKOR was a wise and principled dragon, and very friendly at that. He was there to give advice and offer hope when things looked bleak. He was one of the kindest-hearted dragons to ever exist. He was incredibly good to Atreyu and human legend Bastion as well. FALKOR's biggest aid came in the form of his flying capabilities. He could travel thousands of miles in short amounts of time, and his fur made the ride comfortable. He wasn't the best dragon for battle, as his species' luck dragons weren't very strong and didn't have much in the way of magical powers. They could also die from being submerged in water for too long. That said, luck dragons were quite lucky, so there's that, and any humanoid creatures in their company seemed to benefit from such luck. In Shrek, the best look we get at a dragon is the character known as Dragon. She was incredibly strong and powerful, but it's hard to judge her relevance to humanity, being that she mostly helped an ogre and a donkey, and she was also into the whole interspecies loving thing, so not a fan. She'll likely kill and attack anyone or anything that messes with her donkey, so there's little to say for her status as an ally of humanity. Dragons in Game of Thrones were feral beasts, though they were not completely devoid of brains and could be trained and used as weapons. They could pretty easily incinerate entire cities or single-wingedly change the tide of battle. Their ferocity, strength, and firepower made them awesome weapons for humans to employ in their armies, but they also would probably have served any master who could tame them. They could get a bit out of control at times as well, though they were rather well commanded by unburnt, humans who were immune to fire. Daenerys Targaryen is perhaps the best example of this, as she used her dragons to wipe out many of her most threatening enemies, but including swaths of humans. Though without dragons, the White Walkers would have probably had a much easier time making light work of humans. Then again, dragons could become White Walker zombie dragons, so little did their power offer confidence to potential human allies. Yes, by breathing fire on their enemies, sometimes dragons were friends of humanity in Game of Thrones, but ultimately they were a great danger to them and are better off extinct than being included in the armies of man. We have to include the Dragon Ball dragons in this video for their contributions to humanity. Shenron, of course, is the Earth Dragon, and can grant a wish to anyone who collects all 7 Dragon Balls, whereas Purunga, the dragon on Namek, can grant 3 wishes. Both dragons are good-hearted, if a little grumpy, and have aided in saving humanity and other less important but still friendly species throughout the universe, often by mass revival after some superpowered villain kills everyone. They can be used for evil though, but as long as humans collect the Dragon Balls first, we're good. Dragons in Harry Potter were diverse feral beasts that terrified the wizarding world. They could fly and breathe fire, and were the raging bulls of the magic world, as they could not be tamed. So they weren't of any great assistance to humans as far as being companions or allies in war goes. However, they could be used as training tools to make sure wizards were on top of their broom flying games. In the 1994 Triwizard Tournament, Harry Potter himself faced off against the Hungarian Horntail, which displayed impressive speed and ferocity in chasing Harry. It's not such a great sign for their allies of humanity status that this dragon was hoping to tear Harry to pieces, but wizards in the Harry Potter world weren't very nice to dragons. Well, except for Hagrid, that is. ELLIOT was the dragon in the 1977 and 2016 films Pete's Dragon. ELLIOT was known for coming to the aid of human children in need, And best of all, he didn't try to help them by taking them on acid trips. He just hung out with the kids and offered guidance until their problems were solved. He was even able to have empathy for an incel like Pete, becoming his best friend and protecting him at a time when 4chan wasn't around. Okay, well that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Definitely leave a comment below letting me know any dragons I omitted from this list or any other information I left out as well. As always, please subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. For now, my name is American Ben, and I'll catch you next time. Generation Films, peace.